Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Happy Friday, folks. You finally made it as we are nearing the point of the weekend, but for some of you, it might be the weekend already, so we're going to cruise you right into it as we're going to have plenty of things to discuss today. Of course, the Razorback transfer portal, it's about closed up, and they already added a couple of players today and expected to have more added today, tomorrow, and into even to the weekend. So we'll talk some of that going on. Of course, Razorback basketball takes on Georgia on the road over there in Athens tomorrow afternoon. I know we'll get into that. Some other crazy stories going around the college sports landscape, and of course, get into your chats here on the show. But fellas, it's Friday. How are the vibes here on this Friday afternoon?
The vibes are pretty good, gentlemen. I hope everybody's doing well this afternoon. I'm laughing at Ryan, man. He's having a moment over there in the chat trying to figure some stuff out. But no, man, I'm doing good. Looking forward to the weekend. Looking forward to this basketball game on Saturday. And it's already been a little bit of a busy day in the portal, and I imagine that's going to continue here for the rest of the afternoon and evening.
Yeah, my vibes are very good today. You know, Satan is at work today, and I want y'all to know that. The vibe vultures are there to try and ruin your Friday. They're trying to make sure you don't have a good weekend. Don't let them win. Do not let the devil win. Have a great Friday. That's the best way you can stick it to the haters, is to just have whimsy, positive attitudes and just feel good about your life and enjoy times with friends and family. Like, that is how you win. And so just stick with that today. I'm going to take my own advice. I'm not letting anyone get me down today.
We will see about that. But either way, yes, it is. It's great to see everybody here. And I know with the transfer portal, as you mentioned, Curtis, already had a few pops. Dudley and I went and talked about some of the latest. Hey, they got safeties. Hey, we knew that safety was there. Getting a guy that was coached by Coach Prime and from Colorado coming in. And I know there's going to be some more additions as time goes on. But I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday, too, of knowing how these are some of the final visits for some of these players and how this is kind of the, you're the last stop. And obviously there's like interest from Arkansas that they want these players or else they wouldn't be on their visits. But it also, I don't want to look at it as, oh, well, if they don't get all 11 players or however many is visiting, then they whiffed on all of them. It's a tough thing to kind of navigate through here. But I think everybody's hoping for that strong finish. But I guess what defines a strong finish? Is it simply, get the big name players? Well, I don't know how much that's going to be going around, but how would you guys consider a strong finish for Arkansas here in this portal?
Just, fill some of the remaining needs here. I mean, they need to make a couple more, and they could justify adding depth at a lot of places, but like dudes who you think are going to come in and contribute and really help you out there on the field. I would probably still make an addition on the back end of the defense there. I'd like to see something on that defensive line. It just seems like, and I know I heard Dudley talking about this when you guys were live earlier, that they're pretty motivated to add another offensive lineman that they want to get in the mix. So fill those gaps, man, with some dudes who have done this before. I like the experience from the kid today from Colorado. If he played for Coach Bryan, we know at least he's going to pass the vibe check. All right, he's got that covered. We'll see if he can play football. But yeah, just a few more pieces here and there that you feel like could project right onto your two deep, and I'll be pretty much pleased with where they're at. I think I'm kind of right in line with Dudley. I think he said he'd probably give this a solid B overall. And if they do that, then I think that's probably about where I'm going to land.
Yeah, I would say the kid from Colorado is probably better than what we thought they would be able to get at the safety position. Yeah. Like a few days ago when we were having this conversation, we were like, oh yeah, they really need to go get a safety, but like, are you going to be able to get like a starter level guy? Are you going to really get a legitimate Power 4 starter? This is a guy that spent 2 seasons as a starter at the Power 4 level, and his grades are pretty solid. Like, I don't know if that necessarily means he's going to be a star in the SEC, but legitimately a guy that has started games at the high level Division I, in Division I football. And so I was pleased with that get. They've got a couple defensive linemen, in the mix here as we come to a close, and I would love to see them add a couple there. You can never have enough depth there, specifically on the defensive line, and I would love to see them overcorrect. I agree that any defensive backs you can add, we just can't say no to. And by the way, the kid from West Georgia, 6'3", 200, absolute mammoth over there playing corner. I love it. Just like you said, as many guys you can get in that 2 deep, let's do it. I also, I think they have their starting 5 offensively on the offensive line. and they probably even know their main backups at most of the positions. But we talked about how Arkansas had that 1 year where they had like 9 scholarship offensive linemen, and it really just it affects the way you practice. It affects the way you feel going into a game, just not knowing what your backup options are. You've got guys that have to learn 3 positions because of the lack of depth. I really appreciate how we're moving towards a time where Arkansas can just have guys that play left tackle and they practice at left tackle. They get all their reps at left tackle. You don't have to worry about any of that. I don't want to hear that word cross training. I don't want to hear any of that. Although I know we're going to with the defensive backs, but I think B is a fair grade for what they've done. And it's not going to take too much in these last, few hours here, for the last few days, for me to really move my needle a good bit.
Yeah, like you mentioned the offensive line when they had 8, and I remember somebody was like back then was just like, well, all you need is 5. I was like, yeah, but like you said, the practice thing is like, how do you get better if you just go up against walk-ons every day? Like it's not going to make you better. And then with the situation with adding and wanting to add an offensive lineman, sometimes, I'm not saying everybody does this, but sometimes people will be like, okay, so does that mean they're not very confident in what they got already because they need to go add another one? It's like, that's not always the case, because it's just about depth. Like, depth does matter, and it is something that's extremely important to be able to have. So I think that I'm kind of with you. It's like, there's very few things. Well, I guess I could put it this way. Nothing can make my grade go lower for Arkansas for where it's at right now, unless, some of these guys just don't show up to campus, which most of them have been. So, I mean, it's like, I'm sitting there as, I think you said a B, or I think I said 7 out of 10, whatever grading system you want to go by. But I think it's above average. I think most of us would say it's a good transfer portal haul, but I don't think that there's anything that can happen in the next couple days or anything that'll be like, well, now I'm feeling like a C+ now. Like, no, it's pretty solid there, and you just have something to build upon. But one thing real quick, guys, I want to ask you about the Stoutmeyer kid, because I do like him and everything. This is just for funsies, but this isn't a Flappy Bird though, right? This is we're not doing Flappy Birds.
We're gonna say no.
Okay, good. Okay.
Listen,
I thought it was
little flappy.
I know. Could it be the crane kick from Karate Kid? Because we can't see, the legs or anything. So, but either way, hopefully, if that is the Flappy Bird, he nixes that before he gets here. So we don't need that. We don't need that. But either way, I'm excited about him. He's only 5'11", which we were talking about it with Dudley. It's like people see that as a safety. It's like, as a safety, you always like to see that little 6, in front of their height. But then as soon as I said that, people were like, oh, Jalen Catalon, Bob Sanders. I'm like, okay, 2 in the history of safeties. But 5'11", it'll be fine. He's got a lot of experience, and that's my biggest thing, guys. It's just experienced guys against high level competition. I don't think you should expect any of these guys to be like, oh, we have to get all SEC contenders. It'd be really cool if he was. You just need guys that you can count on, that have the experience, instead of just being hopeful in their potential. We know he can play. It's just a matter of how much he will contribute there, though. But yeah.
Wasn't he injured for a little bit this year? He wound up playing several games in there, and so yeah, we'll see. I like this better than the West Georgia. And no disrespect to him, it's just that's such a level of unknown when you're transferring up like that to try to go from West Georgia to the SEC, and maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, but you feel a little bit comfortable about making a move like that and seeing if you can tap into that, whatever potential they see in guys like that, when you have someone who started in the Big 12 for multiple years. And so they're covering their bases there, and I'm sure they'll make a few more moves, and they're going to be able to put a competent football team on the field. It'll come, what does that mean? Does it mean that they can go to a bowl game? I don't know. Maybe. Does it mean they're 4-8? I don't know. Maybe, but at least they'll have enough pieces there to where we can look at it and say, all right, well, we can find out what this coaching staff is all about, that they spend all these resources and all this money on, in terms of how much they can coach them up and what they can do. Because sometimes, and people can say whatever they want, but it is about the Jimmies and Joes in a big way there. Like, you've got to have the type of players who can compete at this level. And I think, overall big picture depth on the roster, it's always going to be a thing for Arkansas. But, at the top end, I think they're going to be able to hang with some of the folks they're on the field with, and we'll see what it looks like.
Stoutmeyer, am I saying that right? Stoutmeyer?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Stoutmeyer, I was looking at some of his grades earlier, and his coverage grades were a little bit better last year. Went down a little bit this year, but his run defense has been really, really good in both. And so, yeah, we'll see if he ends up sticking at safety. Maybe he's going to play a little bit of nickel. Maybe he's going to kind of be one of those box safeties who you play kind of as like a 4th linebacker. We'll see what they do with him. But I think the most interesting thing to me is where are they going to put all these guys? Because they have so many guys who came in as maybe they're a corner. Oh, but maybe they're going to play nickel, or maybe they're going to play safety. And now apparently Kamori House might be a safety. And what's all that going to look like? And so I'm excited to see. I look at receiver and defensive back for Arkansas, and it's not that there's a ton of stars in either group, but there are a lot of guys. And so I just think about it, and I'm like, listen, I don't think Arkansas has like a, really top tier wide receiver room, but I do know they have a lot of guys to where it's not like we're sitting here being like, man, if Chris Marshall gets hurt, we're screwed. They have guys that can go in there and play and know the system and have actually played in actual football games before. And it's the same with DB. We'll see if there's any real playmakers or really guys that emerge as potential all SEC guys. But if you have an injury or two in the secondary, Arkansas is now getting to a point where they're maybe going to be able to overcome that. If you have a couple injuries on the D line, they could overcome that. If you have injuries at linebacker, they could overcome that with what they have in place. And I just feel really good about that aspect of it. I don't think the overall roster talent is way higher than it was last year, but I do think their depth has gone up in a pretty noticeable way.
Yeah, we'll actually talk about some of the rankings and where it stands all in the college football landscape with Arkansas here in a second. But I want to remind everybody that Gracie Frizzell of Collier and Associates, she is our official real estate expert here at Inside Arkansas, because she is officially licensed not only in the state of Arkansas, but also in the state of Oklahoma. And Gracie's here to take care of all of your real estate needs. She is the most accessible real estate agent you'll ever have, because anytime you text her, she'll respond immediately, email, respond. Even if you send her a DM on Instagram, she will respond. She's always going to be looking out for you and trying to find whatever you need, whether it's an investment property, a game day getaway, land investment, or even a new home. Gracie is your trusted guide from start to finish. So give her a call or a text today at 501-690-3868. That's 501-690-3868 for questions on all things real estate. Or you can check her out on Instagram at Gracie Frizz. It's Gracie Frizzell of Collier and Associates, the official real estate expert here at Inside Arkansas. All right, so for those of you who are into the rankings, which I'm always into the rankings, only when Arkansas is good, though, not when they're bad. But they are sitting, according to On3 right now, at 11th in the transfer portal rankings with the algorithm that they use. And that is also good enough for 4th in the SEC. Texas A&M leading the way as the SEC teams go, then Florida, then Texas, then Arkansas. And what's fascinating about this, guys, is that I always like to look at also, how many players are lost, how many players are gained, and all that. Of all the teams that are there in the top 10, Arkansas, they lost 37 players, and they've been able to make up for it. Because some of these guys, like Houston, lost 10 players. As far as guys hitting the portal. A&M lost 13. Indiana, who's number 1, they lost 5. But of course, they're kind of playing in a thing called the national championship. Last time I checked, it's pretty important. But either way, if you're into the rankings, it looks like, at least according to On3, if you don't take the word of it from Dudley or us or anything, at least the numbers say that Arkansas has done a pretty good job where it stands right now in the transfer portal. And who knows, maybe they can crack that top 10 if a few things go their way as well.
Yeah, maybe so. And this is, you got to really think about the algorithm, because in some cases you could bring in just a star-studded class, but if you lost a bunch of really, really good players, then that kind of balances it out. In this case, it might be benefiting Arkansas for a change the algorithm, because they lost a bunch of guys who weren't great, like a bunch of guys they're not necessarily going to miss. And then if they've added even just decent players, and that's going to give them a bump from the average grade of guys going out versus the average grade of players coming in. So no, it's interesting. They're doing a good job, all things considered. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends up here. It would be cool if, and I have no idea if said person even exists, but if they made one more like splashy enough move to where Ryan Silverfield felt the need to tweet before it happened. You know what I mean? Like one more that was worthy of that. And I'd be like, all right, fair enough, man. You're doing a good job here.
Well, what's funny about this is I remember last portal cycle, we were having all these like really vicious conversations, because I think the three of us were very down on what Arkansas was doing in the portal. And sometimes we like sugarcoated it a little bit, but like we really didn't think they made great moves. And we could kind of see, you look at this overall picture of the guys that left and the guys that were coming in, and we just didn't think that was sufficient. And clearly we saw the season, it wasn't sufficient. But you had all these arguments of people being like, no, this is the best class ever. No, this is the worst class ever. With this particular portal class, which is rated pretty well, I don't think anyone could feel super convicted to be like, this is an awesome class without any shadow of a doubt. Because there's a lot of guys in this class that are just, they're Jags, they're just kind of there to their bodies to fill space. But I also don't think you could point to this class and be like, wow, clearly this staff sucks. Clearly Arkansas is in trouble. And so I think it's kind of a weird middle range, which I got to be honest, when I think about Arkansas football and I think about kind of what we are as a program, you're not gonna be the flashy team that has all the cool portal stuff and has all these guys that everyone in the country is gooing and guying over. Like, you're gonna have to have the underrated, hardworking blue collar fellas that overachieve a little bit. And I do think when you look at this class, there are a lot of candidates for that. So as we now turn the page to, all right, is this class good enough to win 8 games? Is it good enough to win 4 games? Is it good enough to win 6 games? Well, that's going to be determined by your culture. How much are these coaches able to get out of these players? How much are these guys able to develop in a short amount of time? And we'll kind of see as we go there. But I do think it's a nice little starting point. And for Ryan Silverfield, when you think about his tenure that started a month ago, the starting spot was pretty tough. And so I think they've at least raised their level there and given themselves a much higher floor and at least given themselves a chance to compete. We'll see if they're actually going to be competitive on the field. There's a lot that you have to do to be competitive, but they've given themselves a chance with some of the spots they've been able to fill with this class for sure.
Yeah. And I'm also like, comparing it to last year, I try to put myself in the same position that we were talking about when we were going live, and we were talking about the guys that left and everybody that was coming in. It was really about the trajectory of everything that made it so disappointing, because you were coming off a 4-8 year, and then you went 6-6, which wasn't the greatest thing ever, but you felt like you were trending in the right direction. And then when you talk about players that could help you, and you retain certain players that could help you build upon that, and you lost them, like the Luke has, the Patrick Kudus, all those, and you weren't replacing them with really the high end or the level of player that you felt like would be comparable, that's when things started really kind of breaking at the seams, and was very upsetting. But this is the best thing that Ryan Silverfield has going for him and his staff. Dude, the expectation is pretty low. I mean, you're coming off a 2-10 year. You are a brand new coach, which automatically, when it's your first year coach, you're going to get so much of the benefit of the doubt. The staff gets the benefit of the doubt. And building upon that and having a really solid portal class where you haven't really lost a ton of players that you're like, oh man, we can't let these guys go. But also retaining some of the most important players. I think that's where really the positivity and the optimism comes from. But like you said, Andrew, it doesn't mean you have to go like 10 out of 10, A+, but it's not crap either. It's just, I think because Silverfield is in this situation and the staff, it just helps them so much to be able to have that blank canvas to work with, to where a lot of the benefit of the doubt is given, which we know can be taken away very quickly. But for right now, it's there, and they can just continue to try to build this thing too.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing how he establishes this culture here in the program, because they did need a culture change for sure. And that happens when you kind of clean house. And is it just Morgan Turner? Is that it? Like, yep. The only, yeah. So it's going to be a completely different vibe, but what's that going to look like? What's the energy going to be like at spring practice? You got a bunch of guys who maybe you've worked with them in the past or whatever, but as far as the team is concerned, like a half dozen or so dudes who you've been around. So it's going to take a little bit of time for them to figure that out and get it set into place. That's the difficult part about when you're in these situations and you have to have a full-on roster rebuild, and they've got, what did Dudley say? 50 some odd new players already. Yep. Between the freshmen and the transfers. That's a lot, man. So hopefully everybody comes in on the same accord, and they can be, one well-oiled machine by the time we're playing football. But that's why I'm really excited to see these guys actually get on the field and see them work out and everything. And what's that look like? Is there going to be an era of positive energy? And I don't know. We'll find out what it's going to be. But I think Silverfield's done a good job so far in terms of getting some pieces that he needs for this program. And I like the staff that he's put together in terms of numbers and resources. And it's like you're putting all the ingredients into the pot. Now you got to make a good recipe and a good dinner. And time will tell if he's able to do that.
Yeah, it's a nice little test for him to start his tenure. I mean, and this is something he's done before. I mean, last year at Memphis, he had 73 new players. So he's kind of played this game of having to set that culture with a bunch of guys who were in their first year with their program. Will he be able to set it at a level that allows this team to compete at the top of the SEC? Like, that would take a lot. But in terms of just, can Arkansas bring some of that stability? Can they be competitive? I think you look at all these spots and you look at corner, D-line, receiver, whatever it is, and you look at it and you say, okay, there's a couple guys here that have proven they can play at a pretty solid level, and there's a couple guys that are going to need to overperform, that are going to need to really take their games to new levels, and that's perfectly fine. You kind of, every single football roster in the country, whether it's Auburn, whether it's Bama, whether it's whoever, they're looking at some of their roster and saying, we need some of these guys to step up as well. I just like that Arkansas is not in a position where it's like, holy cow, we need 3 guys to vastly overachieve and become completely different players just so we can have starters. Arkansas has some starters that have played some football and then some guys behind them who are a little bit of some projects and some guys that you're maybe betting on. And the thing I keep coming back to is a lot of these dudes are younger that are 2 or 3 year transfers. It's one thing to get a transfer portal class full of seniors, and that maybe gives you a chance to go all in and maybe have a great season, but they're going to get to work with most of these guys for 2-3 seasons. And that's going to be another big test for this culture and for this program, and really establishing what they want to be is what do these guys that you're bringing in now that are going to kind of be your core for the next couple of years, what is that going to look like? And I'm excited. Can't wait to get out there and practice and really start getting some takes going.
Yeah, and we'll continue the discussion here on the show, folks. I want to remind everybody that one of our newest sponsors here is the Fight House Gym of Northwest Arkansas. It's Northwest Arkansas's #1 boxing, MMA, and strength training gym that's built for athletes, competitors, and anyone that's ready to push their limits, because they are able to offer that high-energy boxing and MMA training to free weights, all of those things, elite cardio equipment, sleds, and cross-training. Fight House Gym delivers everything that you need to train at the absolute highest level. And you can push your body to the edge, but then recover like a pro with their cold plunge and saunas designed just to keep you strong and to get you ready for even more. So whether you're a seasoned fighter or you're just starting your fitness journey, we know the new year, everybody's trying to lose a little weight and get back into the gym. Well, this is the gym that meets you where you are and pushes you even further. It's not just a gym, it's a mindset. So you got to check out Fight House Gym. That's now open at 10131 Webb Way in Fayetteville, exit 58 on 549. You can also sign up today at fighthousegym.com. Fighthousegym.com. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen as well. Or you can also call their phone number at 951-623-9745 and step inside and bring the fight. Now, guys, I know this might be something crazy, and I know you tweeted about this, Curtis, but you're talking about the portal and what's going on in football. Dude, this is breaking news here. Danny White, the athletic director of Tennessee, who happens to be among the top NIL spenders, he has accused other schools of breaking rules to land premier players in the portal. Can you guys believe that? He says, quote, I know what others are doing. If we're going to have rules, then people need to follow them. Inspiring.
Wow. Yeah, that's wild. Didn't the was it the Texas AD recently that just did something similar where he was like, yeah, it's sounds like a lot of people are skirting past that cap that we've got. You think, what are we doing here, man? This is like Mr. McDonald's bags himself over here.
Well, my response to this is, so what? Like, what are you going to do about it? Are you do you want to file a complaint? Do you want to start snitching? Go ahead and list out the team. You know, what do you want to happen here? Like, do you actually want there to be legislation? Because like I'm so tired of hearing people complain without having a solution. You know, because at least John Calipari, by the way, did y'all see his article in the Washington Post today?
Well, I didn't pay to read it, but
yeah, I didn't read it either because I don't subscribe to the Washington Post. But you know, he's at least being like, hey, I think this is messed up and this is a flaw in our system. Here's what we should do differently. I'm tired of people complaining with no other sentences there. It's just like, oh, bad things happen in college sports. Like, yeah, we know. We've been doing this for a century now. We've been doing the NIL for a few years, but people have been breaking the rules for a century. What are you going to do about it?
See, that's my thing is like, yeah, you act like this now. It's where people are breaking rules. Have we not had like teams on probation constantly throughout college sports all the time? Like in the SEC, in fact, it was almost a rite of passage. You have to be put on probation if you're really accepted into the conference itself. I mean, we've seen Alabama get bowl bans. We saw Ole Miss. We saw, Auburn get in trouble. Like everybody has these things happen. And so that's what cracks me up is just like, I know what they're doing. But also, guys, I feel like, I don't know, I'm not making any accusations, but I feel like there's probably some schools that are coming out and saying this exact thing. And they're probably the biggest cheaters of them all. They're just like, we're not doing it, but everybody else, this is crazy what's going on. Stop complaining and do something about it instead of just whining. Stop whining. Just do something about it.
Well, and to be fair, that's the same thing we said to Hunter Yurachek, where when he did the whole third lane thing, we were like, one, you're implying that you're not in the third lane, which you are. Like, I know you might not be in there as aggressively, but it's like you are in the third lane. So it's like, if you're going to complain about it, just do it, just do it better. You know what I mean? Like, that's really the thing here. But I do love that all these guys come and they're like, oh, we would never do such a thing. We would never compensate an athlete to come play for our school.
Yeah. Did you guys see, I can't remember who wrote the article, but that discourse about how so many of these, athletic directors and commissioners and everything are upset about this. And it's like, oh, well, if the NCAA and the CSC is not going to enforce this, then maybe we are just going to have to break off, and it's just going to be our own conferences, and we'll have our own rules and legislations, and we're only compete against each other. Shut up. Stop it. Goodness gracious, man. You think if all of a sudden that, like, the SEC broke off, and they're like, it's fine, we're just going to be our own league here, that the same people that are cheating now wouldn't be cheating then? What are we talking about, man? Come on, they're not going to enforce anything. What are you going to do? Take their birthday away?
Yeah. See, that's my thing, is like, you come out here and you talk about this and you complain about it so much, but the only ones complaining, at least in most cases, are the ones that are just getting beat in it. Like, you're getting beat in this competition and it's driving you crazy. I remember even something like remember Nick Saban, when he would complain about the hurry up, no huddle type stuff. And it's just, oh, this is bad, and here's why. Well, then everyone was like, okay, shut up, Nick. No one cares. And he's like, all right, fine. I'll just go ahead and do it myself, and I'll start doing it as well. Like, that's pretty much what it is. It's like, this is bad. Shut up. Okay, I'll just go ahead and do it too. Like, that's what you have to do. It's just not something to where you have to sit back and complain about it and get anything changed about it. And I mean, again, we all agree that there is a lot of things in college sports that need to change and need to be fixed and everything. But I think it's more of the cheating aspect of it. It's one thing if you would say, I want it to go this direction, but to just complain about the cheating and how it's done, it just comes across as so whiny to me. And so like who cares? All right. It's happening. It's always going to happen. It's sports, it's competition. It's the way it is. But I don't know. The people that complain, I just immediately turn them off. I'm like, okay, shut up. I'm tired of this. So, but yeah, I guess Tennessee, I don't know I guess they're not having a very good transfer portal. Oh, they're 12th. Okay, cool. Oh, I bet you all those players came there for the right money and did not ever do anything wrong ever. They're there for the right price. The right price there too. Maybe that's why Tony Vitello left Tennessee, because he's like, they're trying to do things right, and I don't want to do that. I want to get the best players out here. Could absolutely be the case.
They held TJ Metcalf for ransom before he finally committed.
Yeah, that's right. Forgot. Yeah, he went over there. Yeah, completely forgot about that. We'll continue the discussion. We'll get to your chats, folks. We appreciate everybody tuning in, but want to remind everybody the Blue Ember Smokehouse is one of our great sponsors here at Inside Arkansas, because let's be honest, when you get barbecue, it's always great. And for us here at Inside Arkansas, the first Wednesday of each and every month, we are live from Blue Ember Smokehouse in Rogers, and that's just one of their 6 locations. Whether it's Fort Smith, Jonesboro, Texarkana, Little Rock, Hot Springs, or the Rogers location, they are going to be able to provide you with the best handcrafted barbecue across the state. They have tender brisket, home cooked sides, and it's going to be a great place for the entire family to enjoy. And one of the best things about it is not only can you sit down and enjoy all of their great foods, but they also cater any events, weddings, parties, business meetings, any gathering of group of people that need to be fed that amazing barbecue. Blue Ember is going to have you covered, and you can contact those individual stores with the phone number right there on your screen or in the description below, and you can check it all out. And again, it's an awesome spot. And if you haven't been yet, you're really missing out. But if you want to come and hang out with us, again, first Wednesday of each month, we're going to be there at the Rogers location. So check it out today. It's Blue Ember Smokehouse, some of the finest barbecue you'll ever get. So thank you for supporting your local Blue Ember Smokehouse. Again, we're live here at Inside Arkansas Live, talking about the latest with the transfer portal and all the craziness going on there as well. And we'll get to your chats. But we also know that the Razorback basketball team taking on Georgia on the road tomorrow in Athens, which it's still funny seeing Georgia have a rank next to them in basketball, no matter who the coach is or anything. I just think it's weird to see them there, but they're a good team. And we know that it's always tough to win in the SEC, but Arkansas is looking to try to go 4-1 in the SEC to start. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I looked it up, because I'm going to be honest, I didn't. I'm just going to make it up. I feel like Arkansas has not started 4-1 in SEC play probably since like the 90s. I'm just going to throw that on a limb.
It's probably been a while for sure. I'm sure Hog Stats has that somewhere, or maybe it won't come out in the U of A release about it. But yeah, it's a big opportunity for Arkansas, man. This is it's hard not to wonder, because I like Georgia's team. I think they're a fun watch. Horrific non-conference schedule. There's a trend under Mike White at Georgia where they get off to these awesome starts. They were 11-3 his first year. They wound up finishing 500 on the year. They were 12-3 2 years ago, and they wound up going to the NIT. They were what were they? 13-3. That was something crazy last year. No, they were like 14-2 actually when Arkansas played them, and they made the tournament and they got popped, but they finished below 500 in the league. And so we look at it again, and it's like, all right, well, based on what they've done here, they're 14-3. They're 21st in the country. They're good. They're certainly better than people expect them to be. But is it going to be the same trend where now that you're playing a real schedule consistently, is it going to catch up with you? And if you look at some of their splits between non-con to the 4 SEC games that they played, there's a big drop-off. Now they're ticked off. They just got beat on a buzzer beater. They're at home. It's kind of the same situation that you ran into at Auburn. And they're high-octane offensively. Arkansas stinks in transition defense. This is not the team that you want to face. I'm not sure that Arkansas is the team that Georgia wants to face. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. Here's what I know for sure, though. It's going to be a hell of a watch. Like there are some games that could be like a top 20 matchup and you get all excited about it, but it's just, it's gross. It's slowed down. It's a grinder. There's 100 free throws, a bunch of fouls. These two teams are going to be like warp speed up and down the floor. Some people call games a track meet. I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, this is more like the 100-meter hurdles, because both of these teams, there are 3 teams in college basketball who've dunked a basketball 100 times or more this season, and they're 2 of them. I just think it's going to be an awesome watch. And hopefully, man, Arkansas is just more ready to play in the moment on the road. That was so weird last weekend, and that's just something we don't need to see again from this Razorback team.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of parallels to this game this Saturday and last week whenever Arkansas was going on the road against Auburn, who, was very motivated, coming off a pretty brutal last-second loss to a team they should have beaten. And then you have a really talented Auburn team who's kind of coming in with their hair on fire. I think there's a little bit of a similar narrative here, but I also, think the bigger thing is the parallel to this year's Georgia team and last year's, like you pointed out. And sometimes we do this where we just kind of lump these teams, like BYU football. We just know what to expect from them. And, if they're 8-3, we're like, hey, they're probably going to win this game and go 9-3. If they're 9-2, we're like, they're probably going to lose this game and go 9-3. Like, you just kind of expect these teams and programs to finish where you have them in your brain. What we undersell sometimes is that there's a lot of key players on this Georgia team who played on last year's team and were very huge contributors that had to sit there all offseason and think about it. Oh, man, we really, fell apart down the stretch. What happened? We can't let that happen again. They have to be having these conversations in that Georgia locker room and realizing, hey, we just had a brutal loss the other day. If we lose Saturday, we are very much on track to do exactly what we did last year. And I think that should probably scare a lot of those guys in that Georgia locker room. And now they're going to be at home. And they are talented. They might not be quite as talented as Auburn. They are very talented, though. They've got some legitimate NBA players, some legitimate high-level SEC players. This is going to be another tough one, but I do think Arkansas has the ability to break them. We've seen Arkansas overwhelm some teams. We've seen Arkansas kind of show some teams, hey, you really don't want to play in this type of game with us. Georgia can score it. So, they're not going to be scared of a fast-paced, up-tempo game, but I think Arkansas can play that style better than they can.
You heard it here first from Andrew Ellis, folks. He is buying the Blue Cane NBA draft hype.
Hey, come on now. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about just these past 2 games now, they could not be more polar opposite of Arkansas, playing as amazing as they did against South Carolina, as poorly as they did against Auburn. So hopefully they lean more towards the South Carolina performance than the Auburn performance. But, it's one of those things that's just, and maybe it's because you haven't started very well in the SEC for so long. It's just getting ahead of the curve a little bit, man. Giving you some breathing room to where it's not like we're entering into mid-February and we're like, man, okay, so they gotta win more than they lose down the stretch if they want to have a winning record in the SEC or to do this stuff. It's just, if you can really establish yourself and set that tone and set yourself up. This is one of those games where I'm not disrespecting Georgia, but it's very winnable. You are a better basketball team, and I don't know what the atmosphere is going to be like. I know they probably don't care that much about basketball over there, but who knows? Maybe because they are flirting with being ranked and it's Arkansas and it's Cal, maybe it'll be a better atmosphere. But this is just one of those things that you can really establish yourself and putting it to it. But also, too, real quick, 4-1 has not happened this millennium. So if you want to just kind of put it into perspective, the best start they've ever had, though, this millennium is when they started 12-3, the Razorbacks, in 2015. Which is crazy to think that they went 12-3 to start the year in SEC play. Close to that was 2017, where they were 6-3. The rest of the time, guys, losing records pretty much in January, like the whole stretch. So this could be a really unique thing to where you could establish yourself. And I'll go and say it. If Arkansas wins this game, They got my vote. They're the best team in the SEC. I'm sure I won't regret it, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to say they are the best team in the SEC after this weekend.
I mean, that would be a fair argument to make if they get this one done. I guess if Florida wins at Vanderbilt on Saturday, they probably have a say in that. But I mean, Arkansas would certainly be in the conversation. They're tied for the league lead right now. So yeah, we'll see what it looks like. Actually, I've been I don't know if pleasantly is the right word, surprised with the atmospheres that I've seen at Georgia games the last few years. I don't know if like Mike White has reinvigorated that fan base or whatever, but like that place was jumping for the Ole Miss game the other day. I think it seats, I looked at it earlier, like 10-5. So it's not that big of an arena, but they had a pretty big crowd in there. It was loud. They were engaged. So I'm guessing, on a Saturday with a top 20 team coming in there, it might be a pretty exciting atmosphere. I don't think it'll be anything like Arkansas experienced at the Jungle or at the Breslin Center or whatever, but it might not be too shabby in there.
It has come to my attention that Vanderbilt is favored to beat Florida. Now, they are at home, so it makes sense because Vanderbilt's been really, really good at home. I just was a little bit surprised just because, like, in my head, I've kind of thought all week, like, oh, Florida's going to win that game. Florida's going to win that game. I still think Florida's going to win that game, but I think Vanderbilt winning would be like the dream scenario for Arkansas because then, you and Vanderbilt, and I know there's a couple other teams in that mix. I'm not even going to acknowledge Missouri, Texas A&M, any of those bums. But like Arkansas and Vanderbilt, if they both come out of this weekend 4-1, you'd be like, man, one, it would lead up to Tuesday would be ruckus, and it would be awesome. Mm-hmm. We would feel pretty good about Arkansas's chances in that game. That would, to John's point about Arkansas being the best team, Vanderbilt winning Saturday gives Arkansas a pretty clear path to being able to make that happen. But if you slip on the banana peel at Georgia, which I shouldn't even say that because losing to Georgia on the road is not like a shameful, disgraceful loss. But,
no, they're good.
Yeah. But I will say, the numbers back it up. Arkansas is not a cold weather basketball team. That's what we've learned during the last 25 years here is it's not a cold weather team.
Yeah. Yeah, the elements always get to them. It seems like in these basketball games. But you mentioned it. Georgia's favored by 1.5 according to Bet Saracen in this game. Over under set at 179.5.
Over.
So yeah, it's like I'm going to start betting the over on every Razorback game that just comes through because it just feels like it's going to be one of those deals.
Yeah, I really feel like this is going to be a high scoring game. I felt that way about Arkansas Auburn too. Auburn just decided to play defense and Arkansas no-showed, but I mean, it still wound up being a lot of points scored in that game. But in this one, hopefully they have more urgency with transition defense. Arkansas does, but I just have a feeling Georgia's they're going to score quite a bit, and they're at home and they're going to be highly motivated. So it just makes sense to me. And then Georgia, they're a little bit different with, like you can speed teams up. Like, oh, people think, well, they're just trying to play fast. They're trying to push it up the floor in transition. Well, Arkansas does that, but then defensively, they kind of try to slow you down and grind you out a little bit in the half court. Georgia doesn't. Like they press and trap and try to create some chaos and turnovers. I'm just not sure that's what you want to do against Arkansas. Like if you try to trap Darius Acuff in the backcourt, more often than not, he's going to break that. And then you've got him in the open floor with numbers. It feels like both teams are going to score a lot of points in this one, man.
Yeah, if I were Georgia, I would be trying to lull Arkansas into a half-court type of game, even though that's not really what Georgia does typically. I was looking at KenPom earlier, and, I think Arkansas, whatever they are, like number 7 in offensive efficiency or 6 or wherever they are, and Georgia's a little bit they're like 23, so a little bit of a step down. Their defense is like a slight step up from where Arkansas is at. And so you look at it and you're like, all right, this is probably, you can just do the math and be like, all right, this is how this is probably going to play out. I think that, again, I've got back to the exhibition games. That's Arkansas's best trait as a team is they can suck you into playing their brand of basketball and they're just better at it than you are. So I'm with you. I think if Georgia does it makes sense. That's just what you do. You don't change what you do based on the opponent most of the time. I imagine they are going to try and, create some havoc on Arkansas, think, hey, if we can turn these guys over, that'll be the way to do it. Arkansas's had some games where they turn the ball over, but for the most part, if you end up trying to trap them and they have 5 turnovers and 24 assists, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Absolutely is. We'll get to your chats here in a bit, folks. Appreciate everybody tuning in. There are a lot of things to get to. I want to remind you that the Drain Masters of Arkansas is going to have you covered when it comes to all of your drain cleaning and plumbing needs. No matter what it is, they're going to have you covered because they are licensed officially, not only in Northwest Arkansas, but in the River Valley, across the entire state of Arkansas, as well as the state of Oklahoma. And they are ready to handle all plumbing and drain cleaning needs with professional as well as reliable service. So if you need a service today, doesn't matter if it's your home or your business, just give them a call. 479-646-5585. That's 479-646-5585. You can also scan that QR code right there on your screen. It'll take you to the website where you can request a service. And when you do, folks, be sure to tell them that Inside Arkansas sent you, because when you tell them, hey, the fellows of Inside Arkansas, they told me to have the Drain Masters of Arkansas help me out, you get 10% off all of their services. No matter how big of a job it may be, you're always going to get 10% off whenever you mention the fact that Inside Arkansas sent you. Anything and everything plumbing related, no job is too big or too small. Drain Masters of Arkansas is going to have you covered. All right, so we'll have some other things too, but let's go ahead and get into the chats, folks. Appreciate everybody here. As we all know, the super chats get read first here on the show. That's the rules. Shout out to Finch. He says, just here to say I don't mind paying for a chat. You know, you know. Zero respect intended. Kopesky equals loser. Great. I'm glad we're starting wars. Shout out to Phil, Ryan, HBH, King Shark, and C Club, and all of Inside Arkansas. So roaring start here on our super chat.
I tried to tell y'all Satan's at work, man. We got a lot of like weird stuff going on that we don't need to touch on that. But we appreciate the super chat.
We appreciate you, Finch.
Yes.
We do appreciate you, but I don't like the weird like wars going on and the different sects in the chat breaking out. That's devil's play.
Yeah, I wish I love all y'all. I wish people would stop trying to drag us into these weird
exactly
YouTube wars or whatever is going on.
No, I have no idea what's happening, but just leave it alone, folks. In fact, I was going to bring this one up too because it just made me laugh. But MF Peg says, "Yo, the person I hate the most at work just got fired, so it's a great day." I'm like, man, we really are cooking today. But congrats, I think.
Dang
to that. So either way, let's see. Hayden, our guy Hayden, appreciate you, man. He goes, apparently there's close to 4,000 D1 players still in the transfer portal today. Pretty sad. A lot of those guys voluntarily ended their football career, which is fact.
That's true, man. They might have to take a semester off from school or something and try to go FCS or somewhere in the summer. Because once you're in the portal, you can stay there. It's not like they have. If you're going to play football, you don't have to be committed today or by the end of the weekend. But you're not going to be able to get enrolled and stuff. So I don't know. It is crazy. I guess if you think about it, there's going to be well over 1,000, couple thousand kids who might just be sitting there, and like the portal doesn't open back up after the spring. But if teams get injuries and stuff like that, and they need depth, I mean, they're going to be dudes who are chilling on the couch looking for an opportunity, I guess.
Yeah, that's the tough thing about it is if you think players that, not saying all of them are this way, but I'd love to know if there was ever a study or percentages of like how many of those players voluntarily jumped into the portal because they felt like they were going to get a better situation or a better deal or whatever, and don't end up being in a better situation and a better deal. Again, I don't know how that would look. I don't know how that study would look, but I would be fascinated by that. And it's not to hate on them, because sometimes it's not just the players. Sometimes it may be the representation that they have. Sometimes it may be other circumstances, but that is kind of a sad and scary thing with college athletics, that we always think about the biggest players and the biggest names, which are most important. But a lot of these guys, as we all know, you should at least. You get 5 years to play 4. That's the way it should be. But it's a very small window here. So, it's not, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. If you're in a good situation, doesn't mean you always have to leave. But
for sure.
Yeah, going to be a lot of players that way. 4,000 though. That's just that's
crazy.
Just unreal.
That's a lot.
Unreal. Let's see. Rod Dam 1 says, is Aluba really visiting LSU today instead of visiting Arkansas? Well,
I think that's what was reported, but I haven't seen if he's there or not. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. See, that's my thing is like,
trip or whatever.
I
know.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, I know LSU is getting like a commitment every 3 minutes here today. So
we'll find out soon.
Most of them coming from Ole Miss, by the way, but
you know who is at LSU right now? Andy Jean.
Is he really?
Wow.
According to him. I mean, he posted a picture outside the stadium. I think he's there. I don't know if he's on a visit or if he just drove down, but
I'm about to say I could post a picture outside the stadium. But okay. Well, that would be interesting if that ended up happening. But here's the deal: is like all this chaos and stuff of what gets reported. It's sad, but in a way, it's like if they post on Instagram, that's when you kind of know, for sure. Like that's the confirmation that you have is whenever they post on Instagram. So let's see. Our guy Peyton from Blue Ember appreciates his love the holier than thou in college athletics. Give me a break. He's talking about Danny White. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Man.
Can I be honest with you guys for a second?
Sure.
I can't believe I'm about to say this.
Oh gosh.
I don't appreciate it in the MLB. Right? Because, like, listen, I hate the Dodgers. And I think the Dodgers are like, the team we should all be rooting against. They're spending all this money. It's crazy. Why are all these other MLB teams complaining about it? It's like, I get it if you don't want to spend money. There's a lot of friends. I mean, the Astros, they don't spend a ton of money, but it's like the Dodgers are just spending money. There's nothing that stops them from spending money. So it's like, I get being annoyed by it, but it's like, people that are acting like they're like, oh man, we've got to fix the game of baseball. It's like, well, we could maybe do a salary cap, we could maybe do whatever, but it's like, don't get mad at the Dodgers. They're just giving guys money because they can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think, because what are we facing? Again, I don't follow baseball as much, but as you guys know, I have a friend of mine that's a Dodgers fan and a friend of mine that's a Cardinals fan, and apparently a Cardinals fan is feeling like the lockout is inevitable here in the Major League Baseball in 2027. So. I don't know if that's
I'm sure
actually
it will happen because there's a lot of people that are not happy. But I feel like we should have done that. MLB should have done the salary cap thing like 50 years ago. Genuinely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they should have. But yeah, to your point though, like given with college athletics, and you can use any example of it, it's like, I understand you want change, and I understand that, games are imperfect in their own right, and especially with the ever evolving things, but it's always going to come down to like money, like every sport changes because of money. It's not because of necessarily the rules on the field or anything. It's about money. And because of that fact, I understand how important it is. And I understand how frustrating it can be, especially if you're an AD or your coach or whoever, but it's just a matter of, when you look at what you have and when you look at the situation you're in, if you're looking to something that is, oh, this is why we're not winning or this is why we're struggling, to me, that I don't want to hear that as a fan, which again, fans are different. We all hate it, but that's one of the reasons why I know I have with Yurchek and some of the stuff he says, like, I don't care. Like, I don't want to hear that though, man. I want to hear that you're doing everything you can. I don't want to hear that like you're having this moral stance of like, we won't do any of this. Cool. So we'll continue to go 5-5 or 5-7 or whatever. Great. This is awesome. Like, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear you're doing everything you can. So Danny White, though, I feel like Tennessee would have plenty. Like they would be one of the teams that would be dishing them out. Yeah, but the cheeseburger things are with Phil Fulmer having bags of cash and guns to just hand out to players when they're on visit. Like y'all invented this thing, man. Like, and now you're trying to cry about it. I ain't about it.
He must not know what Heupel's got going on over there, because I promise you, they're dabbling, man.
Yes, exactly.
I also know what Rick Barnes gave Nate Ament. So,
yes,
that's more than most SEC teams' rev share pot. You know what I mean?
That's why Tennessee's mad.
Exactly.
No, he came there for free, guys. He just loved the Vols. He came there. He got offered all this other big money at other schools, but
he liked the little pants that they wear during warmups. Those weird little stripe things. That's what won him over.
That's what it was. MJ brings up, which I think is fascinating, because he says, "Do we know when Silverfield will speak to the media again?" We do not officially, but I am going to be fascinated how that works, because in media, at least, guys, like, we're new to this too with Silverfield. We don't know. Is he going to be like, I ain't saying nothing till spring ball? Is it going to be like, hey, I'm going to come out and recap the whole thing, go player by player? I don't really know, but I am really looking forward to hearing from him, because we haven't heard from him literally since the day he was hired.
There was some chatter in press row at the basketball game the other night that might happen sooner rather than later. Like, I mean, obviously once they, because they're going to be trying to quote unquote finalize the roster here in the next few days, but like once they get settled in and, into workouts and everything, and before spring ball, that it might happen. Because I was thinking it might not happen until spring, but it sounds like they're anticipating that it might happen earlier than that, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, my guess would have been, like, when I first saw this question, my guess would have been the first week of March, honestly. Mm-hmm. So I would appreciate there being not that, where we could actually hear from him, but I would also like understand it. But yeah, I think there's plenty we can talk to him about, obviously.
Yeah. And that's something where I talked with Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast yesterday. If you haven't checked it out, be sure to do so. But we were kind of going through the, because when he goes to SEC media days and whatnot, we talk about it, which actually, put a pin in that, because Arkansas just had a commitment, guys. Transfer portal officially. Yep. Middle Tennessee State transfer safety John House has officially signed with Arkansas.
John House, and it's spelled Howse.
Yes, of course, of course. And he's also a fourth, so hopefully it's not the council type Ricky Council thing where you got to call him the fourth or anything like that. But
I hope it's like a
either
Wade
way,
Taylor the fourth type.
What do you mean you hope it's not like that? I hope he is a fourth. Like he goes by it.
yeah, well, and that's okay. Let me rephrase it. I hope that it's not a forced thing to where everyone's like, the fourth, because I felt like that was kind of the thing with council when they tried to do it like over the loudspeakers and like PA when they're like the fourth. It's like, let's not do that thing. So
to be fair, we all collectively as a fan base did not give in. None of us called Ricky Council the fourth.
That's
This is true. He might have been. Did he get hurt this year? We're gonna have to get maybe some info from Dudley or something on that. Looks like he only played in 4 games because his stats were real low this year.
Looks like he only played special teams according to PFF.
Okay, well maybe that's what it was. That's interesting because the year before he made 51 tackles at Middle Tennessee and had a couple interceptions. Like he played quite a bit of football there. He played his first 2 years at Vanderbilt, so some SEC experience coming over, and maybe it's a depth piece, maybe it's a body. I'd be interested to see, kind of what you're saying there, Andrew. Was it an injury? Did he fall out of the mix over there, or what it is? But hey, it's another body down.
He's leaving the cocoon that is the state of Tennessee, and he's ready to sprout his wings as a beautiful butterfly at Arkansas.
There we go.
That's right. Yeah, according on three, he's the 142nd safety in the transfer portal. 1,468th player overall from Brentwood, Tennessee. So yeah, very much a Tennessee guy. But 6'2", so it's a little bigger size there for the safety position. And he's officially the newest Razorback there. So how about that? You get you needed some safeties. I think you've got some safeties. You got some defensive backs, and we're gonna see how this all plays out and everything. But I know that he was on a visit, and I think Dudley, when we were doing the stream earlier with the 2 commits that Arkansas had, I think Dudley was announcing that and talking about how it's going to be a crazy few days, but it's going to be like, players like this as well as defensive linemen too. So
yeah, for sure. I like this from Kingsley, man. We might be on to something. The double house sacks here,
Yeah, the brick house defense is what we're calling it. So listen, if you add in the 3 guys they got today, add in with Jaheim Johnson, Lakai Rowland, Ian Williams, Shelton Lewis, Braden Lee, Christian Harrison. I don't know how many names I just rattled off, but is this like 10 defensive backs now from the transfer portal?
Quite a few, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously they're all, varying levels. Some of those, like Joker Johnson's a little bit higher level, but like 10 defensive backs, I feel like is a good number.
I think so, especially considering that you literally lost all of them, and you needed to, and the ones you didn't lose, it's like, were they any good, or were you were struggling at that position? So yeah, I think it's fair. And I'm not saying this in a negative way, guys, but I am interested of, here we are at basically the very end. Was it something that they just maybe were they missing on some safeties, and that's why it hadn't happened at the end? What was it, something to where they just, it was timing of it? I'm not trying to say that they failed or anything, but it is just fascinating that it's like, here we are at the very end, and it's like, man, we got to add some safeties here. Was it desperation moves, or was it you whiffing? Was it you just not doing a good job of it earlier? I'm just curious of why that position, of all positions, was the one that you're having to get some at here at the very end.
Yeah. Was that just lower on the priority list, or who knows? And it shouldn't have been. Like, I don't think that's the case, but it is interesting that that's kind of the main position that stuck out of, well, boy, we better fill it up here quick. And they've got some other places where you'd like to add a piece or two. I guess maybe part of the answer to our question will be what the rest of the day and weekend looks like. Do they add more ancillary type pieces like that to round out the depth, or do they try to, do they add another guy that we look at and go, oh, cool, yeah, he's gonna be in the mix back there. I don't know. I hope that they do, but we'll see.
Yeah, again, you're adding the pieces, you're getting the players together, and I'm sure once it all finalized and is squared away, we'll do some grade outs on it as well. But still, got more to go. You got a lot more to go. But also going back to what MJ said here about Silverfield, speaking to the media, I was talking with Michael Bratton yesterday, and he usually, when he goes to SEC Media Days, he even told me about this. He's like, I started getting Sam Pittman pretty yearly, and then it went down after that where I wasn't able to talk to him as much. And we started talking about like Silverfield. He's like, how does he handle media? How does he handle all those things? And I was like, well, we haven't really seen much of him. However, if I'm Silverfield, man, and I know we talked about this, but like whether it's media days or whatever, do everything. Do as much as you humanly possibly can, because you're going to get picked last or like close to the last in everything, whether it's your quarterback rankings, whether it's your SEC predictions, whether it's the amount of all SEC players you have. Like, you are going to be an afterthought, dead last. No one cares anything. So instead of, just wanting to get out of there, do everything you can to just get your face out there, be obnoxious about it, and just go crazy with it.
He's he's almost like a politician going on the campaign trail, but he's already got the job, because he's got to get the PR and everything. And he needs to be as popular as possible going into the season. Just given the state of where the program was, some apathy setting in, and then, the expectations that were put on him coming in here when, maybe the initial reaction wasn't what he hoped it would be when he got the job. And, then some of the things they said about what they're going to be able to do, and, the winning starts now and all that. I'm with you. I think the more he's out and about and his voice is being heard, and people you give a little bit more leeway, even if there's early struggles, if you feel like somebody, if you feel like you're connected to them, and if they don't have that and he's just kind of hiding behind the scenes or whatever, then when he starts losing games, people are going to be really, really harsh on him. But if he does a good job and kind of show that personality a little bit, and people can start liking him, and he becomes endearing to the fan base, then even the small victories that he gets will overhype it. It will be like the opposite of the course correction there. I hope we get him like once a week all summer or something. I'd be fine for that.
Yeah, I think that as a football coach or as any professional, there's probably this innate sense where you're like, you know what? I don't want to talk too much. I just want to let the results speak for themselves. I know that sounds like a good thing to do. Sounds like a good mentality. I think it's probably the stupidest thing you could do if you're taking over as the head football coach at Arkansas, because if you're just going to let the results speak for yourself, well, the results then need to be really good. But if you're talking to us the whole time and you're saying, and not doing the thing where you're like, hey, it's going to be a slow build, so don't have high expectations. I'm not saying that, but the more you talk to us, the more we get to know you, the more you talk about these players, the more you kind of tell us, hey, this is our plan in the secondary. We like Kamori House at safety. We like this guy here. We can at least kind of get on the same page and understand the expectations. And then as we go into the fall, we're all kind of on the same page and in the same boat. If you just kind of isolate us and we don't hear from you, and then, spring practice happens and we have to make our own conclusions, or we just have to go by what you do during the season, well, then your results have to be really good. Whereas if you're kind of talking to us the whole time and you get us on your side, not that saying that you can afford to not play well and have bad seasons, but in terms of winning over the fan base, I do think it's very important this offseason that we go into the fall already huge fans of Ryan Silverfield.
Yeah, and I'm looking into almost like the psychology of it all, and from like human beings and what you think. And this is how I feel about it, at least. If it's a coach like and this is just for the situation Silverfield is, isn't for everybody, but just the situation Silverfield's in. I feel like if the less that you're doing those things, as far as being out there and doing interviews, press conference, whatever, makes you feel less, it makes you come across as you're not a very confident person in what you got going on, because it's like, hey, I don't care. Yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you about how awesome it is, and it just comes across. And I'm not saying it's right, but it's just how people view it. Where it'll be like, how confident are we? Because we don't see him, crowing about. We don't see him going out there and doing all these things and talking about the team and everything. It may come across, at least in the first part of it, is he's just not feeling good about it. And so that to me is also what, and I'm not saying you have to do it every year. It'd be cool if you did, but just here in the beginning, man, really in the beginning, that's the best way to get people on your side. I think they do, was it that the road to the Hogs or Razorback Road or whenever they do when they go around the state,
Razorback Road Show, or
whatever it was. Yeah. That, do those things, of course. But when it comes to, doing interviews, doing press conferences, I don't care if it's dumb social media stuff where it's just like, like they did the other day of kids trying to draw the Razorback. Like, just do that. Do those things. Just have some fun with it and show that, hey, you're not running from nothing. You're not afraid of anybody. You're going to be all about it. So, but yeah, I look forward to hearing from him. And I wonder if he's going to be whatever, if we have that press conference or whatever, as soon as this all ends, is he going to come in there just like disheveled and dead? Like, God, this was awful. He's like, beard's grown out and he's got more gray hairs. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to. Yeah.
Oh, he should definitely come in a fat suit. That'd be funny.
Yeah. Just like he's already sweating as soon as he like walks up, just because he's just got the shakes. You know, I want to see a really unhealthy Ryan Silverfield is what I'm saying. I want to see a guy that looks like he's about to die up there, because that means he's been working really hard and everything too. So, but we'll find out here after a while when we hear from him. We'll get to more of your chats and a few other things too, but want to remind everybody that Hickey and Hull Law is the official law firm of us here at Inside Arkansas. Any of your legal needs, Hickey and Hull Law is going to be able to walk you through it, especially when it comes to those divorce and custody cases. Extremely important, but it could be criminal cases, civil litigation cases, personal injury cases, estate planning cases. No matter what it is, Hickey and Hull Law, they're going to give you the guidance. They're going to give you the opportunities. They're going to give you the chance to go through it and get the best representation possible, because they're going to give you that great advice you need to walk along with it. In fact, I'm dealing with Hickey and Hull Law right now on some of these things that's going on, and they immediately get back to me. They immediately get back to you. They're always going to be open dialogue and communication, and those are the important things that you have to have when you're dealing with all of these very serious cases. So give them a call today if you need that representation to get it going at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. You can also check out their website at hickeyandhull.com. Scan that QR code right there on your screen as well. It's Hickey and Hull Law. Things are about to get better. All right. So a few more of your chats, and we'll have some other things to dive into here as well. Shout out to Terica, officially a member.
There we go.
After haggling the husband for weeks. Haha. So we got Terica on board.
Welcome. That's good.
I was wondering, like, she must have become a member not during the stream, because you usually get a notification if someone becomes a new member. So it must have been off screen.
Maybe so.
Okay. I think I saw some people, like, I saw her name in the chat a few times. So I don't know if, like, maybe we just missed it or if other people saw it or what. But now I'm kind of wondering, were y'all like setting the budget for the month of the household, and you were like, can we afford, we just won't have bread this month. We'll get the Inside Arkansas membership and just no grapes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm hoping, well, actually, I don't hope that that's something that somebody does, but I hope, though, that when you sit down with your family, that one of the things that you talk about in the budget is the membership to Inside Arkansas. Because that,
she said haggling. I mean, if they're haggling, they have to be negotiating some type of deal.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you won. I'm glad you got Jimmy Sexton in there to negotiate and got it done. That's important. Let's see. Our guy Kingsley says a few things that would help collegiate athletics: get rid of the one and done requirement, move from halves to quarters. I fully agree with that, and shift the football season around 2 weeks. What do y'all think about those?
So okay, I'm trying to think. So if we're getting rid of the one and done requirement, would that still allow people to be one and done? I
assume so. I assume that's like either just letting people go pro straight out of high school or go 1 year.
Back in the day, it was like you either go pro out of high school or you play 3. I don't want that, because then I think obviously like people like Darius Acuff wouldn't come to Arkansas. But I do think there is some value in getting rid of the one and done requirement. If you're 17, 18 years old and you want to go play in the NBA, go play in the NBA. And if you're good enough to do it, because there obviously are kids in every class that are good enough. There will also be, if we do this, there will be kids that skip college that shouldn't skip college. But I also think, like, not saying that's necessary, but it's like that you need some of that to happen just so kids know, okay, actually, give these kids the ability to make these decisions.
If you're going to allow kids to, go play in the G League and then come back to college, or if they can play 4 years overseas and then come to college, you might as well let them skip college and go straight to the league if they want to.
Yeah.
It would also clear up some of this stuff where when you're 18, if you do enter the draft, that's it. You're done. Like you're not coming back when you're 27 and you need a job trying to play for Clemson. Like that's not happening. If you enter the draft, that's cool. You're entering the draft and you are foregoing your college eligibility. And I know that there's a lot of discussions about where we can and can't draw the line. That's a place where you can literally put it in writing. If you enter the draft as an 18-year-old, you are not playing college basketball ever.
Yeah.
It's fair.
And I'm not trying to hate on them or anything, but do you think if they ever did, like, say, like this year, they won't, but like, say, like, okay, no longer, one and done's no longer here. Could Cal still succeed, like, in getting high-level high school kids? Maybe not the A cups, but could he still get those high-level guys?
Relative to everyone else in college basketball, sure. Yeah, but it would, And I think it would kind of water down the product overall, but
well, and dude, I also think there are like 17-year-old kids who are very high level players that also are like, I wouldn't hate 1 year of college. You know what I mean? Like I think there's probably a lot of them. Who knows? Like, I have no idea if Acuff would have just went ahead and gone to the draft. Maybe he would have. Maybe him and Malik both. But I think that Cal, if there's anybody, like you said, relative to college basketball, that would be convincing these kids, hey, spend 5 months on a college campus. It's not that bad. I think he could probably pull it off.
Yeah. And also, too, to your point of the halves to quarters, that still bothers me. It's always going to bother me. That has to happen. I don't know what the deal is. But I also will say that I've always found this fascinating as a kid, because I think one of the first players I remember going pro straight out of high school was like Kobe Bryant. There's kind of a crazy, like, whoa, hold on a second. And then Kevin Garnett and like Jermaine O'Neal, LeBron James, and then they changed it. But I remember thinking like, oh, well, how come nobody in football does that? It's like, because there's, could you imagine like a high school kid, I guess, 17, regardless of the position, and I'm going to go NFL. All right, good luck, kid. Yeah, sure. Like maybe
Clowney would have been like the only one that you could even maybe see him getting NFL snaps when he was 18.
It's like him or like Derrick Henry. I feel like Derrick Henry because that dude, but like no, but yeah, but that just shows you like not like hating on the NBA, but it's like it's a lot easier in that position and at that age to transcend than it is like football. Because I don't think there'll ever be. I don't care how the evolution of mankind goes. I don't think there'll ever be a time where a kid straight out of high school can just go to the NFL and be all right. Like, I just don't see that ever happening.
It's tough. And I really don't think, like, in basketball, for example, there would be some kids who make bad decisions and choose to do that. But for the most part, I don't think it would be like this crazy amount of kids who just skip college, especially when you can get paid, to come play in college. Like Cooper Flagg would go straight to the league and Cam Boozer would go straight to the league. But would Arkansas's guys? Not necessarily. You know what I mean? Like with the Michael Brown dude, he probably would still come to college for a year maybe. But like the no-brainers where it almost feels silly that they're there, or like the Darren Peterson examples where it's like, yeah, I'm going to technically come play college basketball, but if I get sore after a workout, I'm shutting it down for a month. Those guys would just go ahead and go pro.
By the way, not for nothing, I know that we've been making fun of draft Twitter for not liking Darius Acuff. Darius Acuff would not have been drafted if he entered last year's draft. I don't think I really genuinely, I mean, he's going to get drafted this year, but like there's still some people who genuinely in their hearts are like, he might not be a first rounder this year, which is stupid. We all agree, but like he actually would have been the guy that would have had to go to Arkansas to prove it. And he has done that.
And he's one more mid-range jumper away from going off of draft boards now. So
yeah, true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he took all of one yesterday or Wednesday. So
unbelievable.
Actually, before we do that, speaking of one and dones, it's just I've been meaning to pull this up, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Pro Hog, Anthony Black. Put this picture, like all you kids out there, I know with your phones, make this a wallpaper if you're a ball knower, like right here, and you're like, I wish I could play the video, but we'd get in trouble. But man, that was, Anthony Black, who was known for his dunking ability here at Arkansas, which we know he could dunk, but still, that was that type of picture. Like we see dunks, we see all that. You got 4 guys around this man, and he still slams it home. So I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Waby.
That's iconic. Like that's a photo that's gonna live forever. I mean that. Like I'm not even exaggerating. That's about as good as it gets right there, man. And I love that it was AB that got it.
Just a casual little 21, 7, and 6 last night for AB, but also the most underrated part of this whole thing that no one's talking about. This took place in Berlin, Germany.
Yes, it did.
You see that little German flag right there on the bottom right corner of the goal? They're in Berlin in the middle of the day. This happened at like 2:30 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah, I was wondering, it's like, why is everyone so stone-faced? I was like, oh, yeah, because they're probably still figuring out the sport. They're probably like, oh, yeah, that's good. That looked fun.
I was wondering why there was an influx of Anthony Black tweets in the middle of the afternoon yesterday. And then I saw the video, and I was like, oh, great. And then I was like, why are they playing an NBA game right now? Yeah. Oh, okay. And now it took me a while to piece it all together.
Yeah. I meant to, again, I wish I would have gotten this video. I may have been able to play it, but there was one I saw where I guess somebody, a teammate or whatever, was re-showing Anthony Black the highlight of it, like showing him on his phone. And AB's like laughing. And he's like, man, I haven't done that since Duncanville. He's like, that was the last time I ever got up that high was Duncanville. So I was like, I wish it would have been cool if you did it at Arkansas once or twice, but we know.
You didn't play your whole freshman season in a boot here.
Yeah. Then, I'd tell you, the only time we got to see bouncy AB was in Maui.
Yep.
He was bouncy in Maui.
Yes, he was. Do you guys like, just out of curiosity, like we're talking about style and fashion here on this show because everyone points out ours in the chat. So you guys more of this haircut? Or did you like the old AB hair from Arkansas? days.
I low key like the old AB hair.
I was gonna say I like the big hair AB, man.
Me too.
Let it flow, man. Let that hair just do its thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who doesn't groom his hair at all, just let the hair do whatever it's gonna do. You don't have to do anything with it. It's fine.
Yeah. That's like, I'll never forget. And sorry, Andrew, I'll never forget when Curtis, remember when we were at the NCAA tournament and seeing like AB just walk by us. Cause it's not like we knew him, but like seeing him, I'm like, there's no way that guy's 6'7". He looks like 6'10". Like that dude is just,
he's like the biggest dude on the team.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was just the hair or what, because that's what I was kind of referring to. Is like, man, is it the hair? But I don't think it was. It's just, I don't listen. We like to size people up and be like, all right, because you know what, the whole like Trevor Brazil versus Nick Pringle and all that was like, how tall are they actually? But it's like looking at him, I don't think I've ever felt so like wrong of what I expected a height of a collegiate basketball player to be than was Anthony Black that day, where I'm like, I knew you were tall, even like I knew you were 6'7", but he was a monster, man. And I'm so glad that he's balling out there in the NBA. That's awesome.
Me too.
That's one thing we love doing on this program, measuring men.
Size them up.
You got to size them up, man.
Doing a lot of measuring contest. Shout out to Shark and Saw. Appreciate the super chat, as well as Mad Labs. It says, speaking of AB, his Maui game was legendary. And it's wild that we get that same production every night with A-Cuff, which is also
it is
wild.
crazy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, dude, the funniest thing about the Maui stuff with AB is like, I obviously was a 5-star. We all had pretty high expectations for what he could do at Arkansas. He was averaging like 5 and 3 going into Maui. Like he was really not doing much at all. And I remember we went and watched him get punked in the Moody Center at Texas leading up to the season. Like we thought he was going to be like this talented kid that was like, here and there he would be able to have some good games, but he was going to be a little too shy. He became a man at Maui, and it's crazy that he lived up to the 5-star billing, and now Arkansas has another 5-star kid who is not only living up to the 5-star billing but overdoing it. How many other schools have 2 5-star point guards in the last half decade that have overachieved their 5-star rating?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not many.
Not many. Yeah, not many
at all. Let's see. Also, a few more here. Heartbroken Hog says, "Do y'all think we're done at safety now? What's that bring the number up to?" I think you went through it, Andrew, a little bit.
Yeah, so it's like I just said 10 DBs, which does not count Kamori House, by the way. If he's a DB, that would be 11. I don't think we have the adequate information to know who's a safety. And I know that sounds stupid because some of these guys have played safety, but it seems like this staff has plans to move these guys around in ways that we're just going to have to see how it plays in spring practice. Because there's a lot of DBs, not all of them. There's only like 3 or 4 that have ever played safety in college football, but some of these other guys might not. And so if they have 2 guys that they think are going to be safeties, then maybe not, but we'll just have to see. They'll probably add at least one more DB, though. Yeah,
I think so, too. Shane says, Curtis, is the reason Ewan doesn't play 30 minutes a game because his motor doesn't run that long?
I mean, sometimes, sure. It took him a while to get going. That hasn't really been so much of a thing for him lately. He's also, he is a platoon big with Nick Pringle, whether we like it or not. And so if Pringle is playing well, like he did the other night, for example, then Ewan's not going to play as much. But like he played 15 minutes the other night. He had 18 points in 15 minutes. Is that good? I think that's good.
Decent.
But then like Pringle, we know it wasn't his night at Auburn, and then Ewan plays 25. So there's going to be some give or take there. Ole Miss, he played 15 against Tennessee. He played 27. So it's just going to kind of be one of those deals, I think. And this is starting to play out in real time now, even as Pringle hopefully starts to play a little bit more consistently. Ewan's minutes are going to continue to increase, and Cal said as much. He's had conversations with Pringle about, I need to start giving Ewan more minutes, and Pringle's handled that well so far. But it's also a matchup thing, like if you need defense and physicality, then Malik Ewan's probably not your guy. But if you need somebody to get you buckets in the paint, he probably is. So
one thing I've also learned over the years is that basketball players are masters at getting rest while still playing minutes. And you see this happen a lot of times on the court where you see a guy just kind of float for a few possessions and he's like, all right, I'm just not going to be involved. He's kind of getting some rest. I think if any of these guys, frankly, even Darius Acuff, if he's going to play 37 minutes, he's going to have to find some rest in those minutes. I think if you are playing Ewan 30 minutes, which, he's good enough to play, and in certain matchups, we would love him to play 30 minutes. You have to also expect that you're not going to get that high motor for all 30 of those minutes. And so a lot of times these big men, like Nick Pringle specifically, I'm like, dude, Nick, if we just play you 12 minutes, but you're all out for those 12 minutes, great. That's part of why I know people complain about Billy Richmond's playing time sometimes. When you play your ass off and you're playing balls to the wall for 16 minutes, it's hard to do that 2 halves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, also speaking with the basketball stuff, Hickory Hog just says Blue Cane is Reed Shepherd if Reed Shepherd couldn't shoot.
I mean, sort of.
Hey, Blue Cane that's what's funny about Blue Cane is like he's a freak athlete.
Mm-hmm.
He is like your typical like wing that is a great athlete, good, a good solid on paper defender, lengthy, but he can't shoot. It's weird.
Well,
especially this year. He's 0 of 15 from 3 in SEC play.
Oh gosh, that's rough. By the way, if you were going to name your kid after a color, what would be the color?
Blue's
if you're
not bad, honestly.
Blue's okay.
My boy Blue.
Yeah. That would probably be my choice.
Yeah, I feel like red might be one of the more common ones. But some red.
Foreman.
Yeah.
I know some reds. Yeah.
Yeah, or red from wasn't it Shawshank Redemption? Morgan Freeman's character, I believe, is named Red. Mm-hmm. So there's that. Not many oranges or yellows. I don't know. Just every time I see it, I just think of the colors that you could throw in there.
Brown.
Yeah, just equinox or turquoise, something like that. Just throw in.
Is there anybody whose first name is Black? We got a lot of last name Blacks.
I don't know.
Sure, there is.
Black Neighbors.
Oh yeah, Black Neighbors. I guess that makes sense.
There's the one. Found him.
We need to bring back Red though. The more I'm thinking about it, Red's a good name.
Yeah,
I don't mind Red.
It would work out.
Little Red Riding Hood. Yeah.
Yeah, and someone's gonna be like, "Oh, Violet. Violet's not. No, I'm not counting that one. That one's counting one because I always
does Indigo.
It would piss me off as a kid when it'd be like, that color's purple. Actually, it's violet. Shut up. It's purple. Like, why do we have that? It's supposed to be so annoying. So, anyways, enough of that nonsense. Cats by 21, though, comes in and says, Arkansas won't have an answer for Somto.
So, Cats by 21.
What's the question?
He does this thing where he, like there's these big men that have, like Somto Cyril is a rim protecting, lob threat. You can kind of toss it to him here and there. Somto Cyril is not this dude that's you're just going to be like posting you up for.
He's a bagless monster.
Right. Same with Jaden Quaintance. I remember him doing this thing where he's like, hey, y'all going to have problems guarding Quaintance. And I'm like, Quaintance isn't an offensive player. Like most of these centers that you reference are not like guys that are going to really threaten Arkansas. And frankly, I just, if that's how Georgia wants to win, go for it. Try it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
He scored his career high the other day, and it was 18. So it's not,
it was like
they're not gonna dump it into him on the block and let him go to work. So
Hey, by the way, also just speaking of that, this is kind of random, but we saw Nick Pringle play really well against South Carolina. They asked me, do you think that that's going to be his season high in points the rest of the way? I'm like, yeah, I think so.
Probably so.
He might not have that many points the next 4 games.
Although, if he ever does have a game like that where he breaks that career high, whatever game that is, Arkansas has won and one-handedly.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Like if he does that.
Maybe if it's a former team thing, then he could take the show on the road to Alabama. That'd be cool. You get 16 from Pringle at Alabama, you might beat him down there.
In fact, Pringle, I won't even be upset at all at anything ever if you just use your one last great game against Bama on the road and it leads to a win. That I'll take that right now up front.
That would be so satisfying, man.
Although, has the statute of limitations gone out on his revenge for Bama? Like that was like 4 years ago.
He played him last year,
right? And it's like if you've made 2 separate moves, can you even really still hold that grudge?
I don't know. He just needs to find that Michael Jordan stuff and just make stuff up in his mind of like someone at Alabama said his dog was ugly or something, and then just go out there and ball out. That's what I want to see. Let's see a few more here too. Cam Hawk says if Ellis goes full on cornrows till summer, basketball or baseball wins the Natty.
The only problem with cornrows is like that's a lot of work, and that's the real thing that I'm like pushing back against. Like shaving my head, I would much more likely do that because that's just one, and then I don't have to do any work. Cornrows would take a lot of work, like throughout the week, each day. That'd be a lot of work. I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah,
I might do. I could show up to one baseball game with cornrows.
the Kenny Powers immediate like connection everyone will make will just be the allegations will be out if you
I'm
come in there.
tender-headed a little bit too, so like anytime anyone touches my hair, or, like starts yanking on it, I don't like it.
How many times have people yanked on your hair?
Well, every now and then I make Hillary put my hair in a ponytail just because I want it out of the way. And every time she does it, I'm like, stop yanking on my hair. She's like, you're being a baby. And I'm like, well, a little bit, but
yeah. Well, also though, Seth though says shout out to Andrew for a great bombastic yesterday.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Seth. That's nice. Hey, you're gonna get another. Well, I can't guarantee great, but you're gonna get another bombastic today. I'm excited. As soon as we end this stream, I'm gonna dart out. I'm gonna be like the Road Runner, where he'll just like kind of leave the scene. He's like, they make the little noise. I'm gonna be like that going to bomb.
Yeah, got some bomb action happening today as well. A few more. Bench appreciate super chat says Cats came in with quote fellow Razorbacks.
He did pop into the chat earlier. He was like, "Hello, fellow Razorbacks." I noticed that too. I was like, "Oh, you admitting something? You told on yourself, Cats."
One day we will have all 16 SEC teams represented in this chat. We've got Kentucky, A&M, Georgia, and Arkansas right now. It's a good start.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would we want for next? Like who's the team representation that's not represented yet?
We've had this one occasional Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But who do we want represented next?
Vandy. Just because it'd be like the Vandy one. Yeah.
Well, but we do have Vandy.
Yeah, we sort of do.
Kingsley's wife.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so that's off the board. We haven't had any Gator fans, which I'm actually kind of shocked by. I know that Arkansas and Florida don't play each other a whole lot, but like they're pretty obnoxious.
Arkansas says he's a closet Gator fan.
Yeah, that is true. And also Arkansas lives in Austin, so pretty much a Texas fan too. Also, I was stunned by how many Gator fans there were in San Francisco. So you would think they would be a little bit more worldwide, like just all over the place.
Yeah, you would think so. But, well, yeah. So go out there, folks, and recruit. Spread the word that we're looking for some SEC fans to come in here in our chats and, just mix it up. So spread the word out there. Also, too, our other guy, Hayden, says, okay, funny story. I swear to you, I went to the Arkansas-Georgia game last year and heard the name Blue for the first time ever. We decided we are going to name our next boy Stetson Blue Short after that.
There we go.
I like that.
Hopefully it's not Stetson from Stetson Bennett because you went to a Georgia game as well. Like, hopefully that's not the thing. But, yeah. All right, Stetson Blue Short. Whatever works.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, two Georgia athletes is kind of tough.
Yeah, unless they have a guy named last name Short, too, which I don't know, which maybe they do.
Stetson Short is a solid name, though. That sounds like an athlete.
Good one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If your first name is Stetson, you have to be an athlete. I feel like it's like that and like Colt. You know, like
Colt's a good athlete name.
If your name's Colt or Chase, something like this, those basic names, like, hey, you got to be at least a sports person in some capacity. So, all right, real quick. Also, too, Grayson says, if you guys had to guess with all the first round March Madness locations, what would be y'all's wild guess for Arkansas will be put? San Diego, Buffalo, yes,
Portland.
Dude, I didn't realize San Diego was an option. I would love San Diego.
That'd be fun.
I've never been, but I've heard nothing but good things as far as like, I've heard it's like the perfect weather place where literally like 9-10 months of the year, it's just perfect weather, which is big. But Portland, man, listen, that's one city I have zero desire to go to in any capacity, but
it's a funky city, man.
Yes.
Funky, not like it smells. Well, I mean, it might, I don't know, but I've been there before. It was like super eclectic and it's weird down there. And that was before it got, it's kind of crazy over there now, I guess, but
Yeah. To be honest, it's like, we've talked about this many times, like Oklahoma City would be the best and most ideal just because of the travel. And St. Louis wouldn't be bad. Also because Curtis is all stomping grounds. That would work. But San Diego would be cool. I've never been to Philadelphia and I know that's not like ideal, but I think that'd be a cool city to go to.
It'd be fun.
Yeah. Historical.
I would love to go to Philly, even though it is a little dangerous.
It is, but it's like, dude, I'd love Tampa. I love Tampa, even though I'm going there for SEC football media days, but I'd love to go there again. Tampa's
had some great times in Tampa. Yeah.
The house that Knox built.
That's yeah. I'm sure that won't get brought up at all in any of the stories if that ends up happening. No to Buffalo. And then like the most like meh is to me is Greenville, South Carolina. I'm like,
yeah,
I mean, okay, whatever.
Because that's the tough combination of far travel and not a cool city.
Yes, exactly. So, but listen, no matter where it is, we'll be there. As much as we may hate it, we will be there no matter what. So, all right. Well, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day and for the weekend on Inside Arkansas Live?
Looking forward to this basketball game tomorrow. Enjoy. Make sure you hang out with us for the Pot at the Palace post-game show. Should be a fun one. Should be an entertaining game. And appreciate everybody for hanging out with us all week, really, but especially today.
Yeah, another good week in the books of Inside Arkansas Live. The best sports show ever, probably, at this point. And I feel like everybody held up their end of the bargain. We had good vibes in here today. We had some good conversations, and appreciate it. Make sure you tune into the Bombastic, man. It's gonna be cold. I'm gonna be out there freezing. I might be shivering during it, but we're gonna have a recap of some scrimmage action. Hunter Dietz versus Cole Gibler.
There you go. Yes, be sure to tune in. And I hate to end this on a little bit of a morbid note, but I have to do it. Rest in peace, Eddie in Clarksville. I just got word that he passed away, and I hate that because I'd see someone I knew for a long time and call into my show and would text me in the same way, and I just got word that he passed away, and I hate that, man. I know that he called into our show even when we first were getting it going on occasion and everything. So, anyways, thoughts and prayers with his family. I know he went through a lot, but hopefully he's in a better spot right now. So I just wanted to give him a little bit of honor there to Eddie in Clarksville. But that'll do it for us today, folks. Appreciate each and every one of you tuning in and watching in. Be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page. Check us out on social media at Inside Arkansas. And also tune in and subscribe to all of our audio podcasts, wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pot at the Palace, the Bombastic Podcast, Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast. No matter where it's at, be sure to check it out. And that'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson, and intern Cameron, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel next Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow on Pot at the Palace postgame show following Arkansas and Georgia.